All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of UpintheAir.stream. And in this episode, we are going to attempt to fix a common Airstream problem, or RV for that matter, because there is other RVs out there on the market that have twin beds, double twin beds. So this may apply to you if you've navigated to this video by chance. So what we're talking about here, I'm going to flip the camera around and we're going to attempt to fix this issue. So I hear a lot of folks on the forums and also the Facebook pages talk about fixing their twin beds from sliding around, and I'll demonstrate what we're working with here and exactly what we're talking about. So they kind of slide around, and when you have the Foley system, I think it even makes it worse. So what we're going to do is we're going to install some straps, and I don't have any affiliate links for the exact materials, but I am going to pop them up on the screen as I show them to you. So I actually this is our second attempt to fix this issue, and I did not like the result of the first one. It was better but not great, and obviously I figured, well, let's try it again, see if we can fix it. We originally used some shock cords, and unfortunately they stretch a little too much. So I actually did a really nice proper install video with that, but now that the bracket's already installed, I'm just going to have to basically explain where to put them. So where we installed these brackets is up here at the head, and you can see the Foley system. There is a bracket that is just inside the width of the mattress, so meaning that along the wall there, it's just inside of that. And this bracket is stainless steel. I'm going to pop up the photo of the Amazon listing so that way you can capture the title, pause the video, capture the title, type it in, and see what the availability is of this particular bracket. I chose this one because it was longer, substantially longer on one side, which I figured would give me more stability. There is only 2 screws that do go into the Airstream, but I like the gusting also, and the fact that it's stainless steel and the gusting kind of just matched the idea of like an aircraft, sort of the idea of an Airstream with the rivets and all. So that is where this one is located, and then I'll show you down here where the other one's located, and I'll easily be able to slide the bed out to show you that. The other one is justified all the way in the corner, and I do recommend leaving a space. Don't put it right up against your Airstream, that way it won't scratch it. The Airstream does flex a little bit going down the road, so you don't want it rubbing. And also we have the other part of the equation, which is this little keychain eyelet. The reason why we have that is because these holes that the screws would normally go through in this bracket is not big enough for the straps that we're going to install, nor were they big enough for the shock cord either. So this is kind of our link, for lack of better terms, that we're using these little stainless steel keychains. And I will also put a photo of those. I did buy those off of Amazon as well. It's pretty much, you know, these days, unfortunately, that is the name of the game when you're doing projects. I went out to Lowe's yesterday, and I just needed a couple of screws, and they had the bin, the type of screw, and it was completely empty. So the Hillman vendor had been doing a poor job. In fact, the whole drawer was empty. So just want to let you know, unfortunately, you know, it is what it is. Things are tough on the labor force. So yeah, we won't get into that too much, but oh man, it's frustrating because you try to do the right thing and shop local, but you know, it's just you always come up empty-handed, it seems like. So all right, so now that you know what we're working with, you know the problem, maybe that's why you navigated here, or maybe you never even thought about it. You just you know, you're just a subscriber to our channel, and if you're not a subscriber, I do recommend you going ahead and subscribing to our channel so that you can see more videos like this. And also some destinations. We'll be heading out to Tennessee again here soon, little spoiler alert, and that'll probably be in the next video that I release. So all right, let me put the camera down. I'm going to install, well, let me back up a little bit. Let me show you what the straps look like here before I install them. These are made in the USA. So Don't know exactly what that means these days. A lot of people think assembled means made in the USA, but they say made in USA is on their website, and I will have a link as well. These are 12 footers, so when you do get the link, make sure to choose the right size. These are 12-foot straps, so you can get them in different colors. I chose white just because it seemed more appropriate for being on a bed, and also they were the ones that were available the next day. So just keep an eye on that too. Availability is different per the color that you choose. So, all right, this time I promise I will be putting the camera down. I'll install these straps and we'll see what the result is. All right, so that didn't take long at all to install those. And man, I'm pretty happy with the result of this. Once again, these are the 12 footers. I did put the cam buckle at this end. For some reason, I don't know, I guess aesthetics, it looks better. Airstream kind of gives like the bed its own little platform. Actually, I do know why. So the one thing about Airstreams that's a little different is they actually build the Airstream, they test them to be watertight, and then they bring all the furniture inside and then they install it and all your cabinets and everything else. So everything has to be able to go through the door of an Airstream. And so this is just the way they do it, making it more modular in nature, and that's a good thing. So this piece here is rounded, and this piece here has its own round mold here. But the cool thing is that back down in there, you can see that all that, well, it's not all, it's about only 2 foot of extra strap. And I had measured it out to be 10 foot, so I knew if I got about a 12-foot strap, which is exactly what I got, it would be long enough. So what is the result? It's really good. Yeah, it moves a little bit front to back, but side to side, I mean, I'm telling you, the mattress is on there. One of the things that's frustrating is to come into the Airstream and see that the mattress is halfway off and almost onto the floor. That is not going to happen anymore. And then even my wife was complaining because, well, she was just, wondering why. She felt like she was sliding out of the bed, and that's because I did have it off level by just not even two inches. So, but enough where she felt like her bed was sliding, even with her on it. So the Foley system does complicate it a little bit, like I said a couple times. So this has taken care of it. And, every time we go out, we learn something new. I always come up with new things that I need to fix. And I'd say this is a big thumbs up on the result of this. So I'm going to do mine now. I'm going to take the shot cord off there that I had. You probably can't make it out because it's black. And install my strap over on this side. And like I said, make sure on this side just as well, put the cam buckle down at this end. The other video I had made, I'd also went into detail about how we leave our Airstream stored. And so let me tell you a little bit about that. All right, like I had said earlier in the video, I am going to show you a couple things that we do when we put our Airstream in storage. So I see this a lot on Airstream for Newbies regarding the batteries on board and how folks say that, no, you shouldn't leave them plugged in. You should just charge them occasionally, plug it in occasionally. Now that we have our barn, we do leave it plugged in all the time, and we don't rely just on the solar. In fact, the solar wouldn't do any good because it's in the barn. And that's also a common concern for folks that are able to put their Airstream under cover and out of the elements. They wonder, okay, what do I do now? You're going to have to determine what type of converter that you have. This Wago converter that we have, our Airstream is 2022. It is actually lithium capable, so with a flip of a switch, and that's awesome that they do that, because we do plan on upgrading the lithium. But right now it's not flipped, not set up for lithium. It's set up just for the AGM batteries that are on board. That was an option as well. So you do need to find out what model that you have and what the recommendation is as far as how it charges your house batteries. So, that's something that you need to look into. But I'd say in most cases, you do want to leave it plugged in because you want those batteries to be topped off. The other beauty of leaving it plugged in is that you do have the ability to have a dehumidifier going. And what I do is, I had just started doing this just recently, is I leave our dehumidifier in the sink. Now this dehumidifier is supposed to turn off when it's full. So when it gets completely full of water, it's supposed to shut down. But what about if it didn't and I had it up on the table or on the counter here? It would possibly drip onto the floor. This way it'd just go down the drain. In fact, when I do drain it, I just open it up and I just pour it right down the drain. So that's very convenient. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Being that it's in a stainless steel sink, if it was, because it is using a heating element, even though very, very small and not extremely hot, it does use heat to dehumidify and collect and condensate that water. So the best thing about this is that it's in a non-combustible area, so that way if there was a fire, there'd be less of a chance for it to maybe spread to the rest of the trailer. So that's something to consider. So one of the other things that we do, and this is actually because of a lesson learned, which most things that you change the way you do business is because of a lesson learned. And one of the things I had done, I must have, I'll take responsibility, I must have left the battery on, or Chrissy did, but I think it probably was me, I'll just say that. And one of the bad things is that we normally leave our fridges open. So when we're here in the barn, or even if they're not parked out in the barn, we leave our fridges open. And the reason why is because if not, you'll get like black mold in there, because if there's the slightest amount of moisture in there, that black mold will start to grow, and that's obviously not good, and you don't want that in there. So by leaving it open, you know, that all the moisture comes out of there, and especially with the dehumidifier, it has the opportunity to take it out of the air as well. If you leave the battery on, the fridge will be running. And it's kind of weird, like these newer fridges, they're all electric fridges, they're not propane. They really don't have an on-off switch. And if somebody knows of an on-off switch on this fridge, please let me know, because it only goes down to 0, and that's not off. Oh, wait a minute, that okay, that is off. So make sure to turn it all the way. There's like a little stop there. That turns the fridge off. So lesson learned just by showing you guys this. So that's kind of embarrassing, but hey, I'm willing to admit when I am, you know, silly, I guess. But all right, so we do leave our fridge doors open. But here's what I was really getting at. So that problem's fixed. That's awesome. Now I can leave the fridge doors open without worrying about the coils condensating and then dripping onto the floor, which is what happened. And what I was going to tell you, though, is that when you do have the house batteries on, basically there's just a little switch down here for the house batteries. You see the blue that's lit up. It says battery power. It's easy to leave the coach and leave them on. So what we're doing now is we're always leaving on the LED light above the stove, and that way if we leave, then everything will be out, because if you have all the lights off, you may not catch the fact that you have the battery on. So now we have you know, the stove light is always on, and that will just be one more thing for us to notice that, hey, you left the battery on, don't leave with the battery on. So all right, just a suggestion for what you might want to do. The other thing is if you do have a newer Airstream, so let's go out into the barn here. And if you haven't seen the barn, this is the barn that we built for the Airstream. We're very fortunate. We've been waiting for years to get a builder that would actually show up, which was, yeah, the last guy, it took a year and he never did build it. Luckily I got my deposit back. But over here is where we plug into the wall. And the newer Airstreams, you have the smart plug. So the smart plug is really a nice, and you can retrofit your old Airstream, by the way, to the smart plug. So definitely look into that as well. But that's the 30 amp. They make the 50 amp as well. But the beauty is too, is you can buy this adapter, this little pigtail that will go into your 15 amp household plug. And then you can plug that into the wall over here. And one of the things I do as well, just because it's out here in a barn, even though we have a proper circuit box and all that, is if it was hit by lightning, it could surge your Airstream. We don't have the internal Watchdog Hughes autoformer. I have the external one, so that doesn't do any good if you're plugged into the 15 amp household plug. So this right here will give you some surge protection also for your Airstream as well. Now I am considering taking this pigtail with me, which is very expensive. They're about 180 bucks. So I just want to warn you, look around a little bit. I actually got a little bit of a discount on the Airstream store because of military, I think it was. So keep that in mind. So I use my military discount. But other than that, there's not really too many people that are selling them any cheaper. They're pretty expensive. But what I am thinking that I am going to do is start bringing it with me, just in the event that our normal 30 amp cord was to malfunction, because there is some circuitry inside of these smart plugs. They have like a little card on here that tells you that you can check like the source or the details of your shore power. So it's just like a little, you know, I guess that's what the smart plug, it's not just the fact that it's a better plug-in method, but also that it actually will tell you and indicate if there is like a problem with your grounds or just the way the circuitry is wired. So, all right, but yeah, so the idea is, like I said, maybe take that with me, and then at least then we can plug in to the 15 amp household style plug. Most pedestals have a single gang plug, and that way I can use that just to keep the batteries topped off. And you know, that way our fridge would keep running, we'd still have DC power, we'd still have lights. It would not be advisable to run your AC because you're certainly probably going to trip the breaker. Now I do have a soft start, micro air soft start installed, so I probably might try it, you know, just especially if it's a really hot day. That micro air soft start supposedly allows you to be able to run your AC on a 15 amp. But I think it's still pretty questionable. So, but at least we would have our battery charging. So, all right. Well, thank you for watching very much. Like I said before, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button if you found value in this video and solving your issue with your twin beds. And look for more videos coming out soon. We're always taking on new challenges or installing new items on the Airstream. And I always like to share what I learn along the way. So, take care, be safe, and get out there and have some fun.